This is Just a Few Questions. I'm Marc Sims. My guest is Caitlin Power. Caitlin Power is a policy analyst at the Partnership for College Completion. Welcome to the show, Caitlin.
Thanks so much for having me, Mark.
I'm
Glad
so
to
I'm
be here.
smiling. You can hear me smiling. I'm smiling. Caitlin, here's the first question, of course. What is the Partnership for College Completion?
Thanks again, Mark. Really excited to be here. So the Partnership for College Completion, we also often call it PCC, so you might hear me referring to us as PCC as I'm talking. We're an Illinois-based nonprofit that launched in 2016, and we're focused on addressing disparities in college access by race and income, and then also generation. So we work with mostly Black and Latinx students, first generation students, and students from low income backgrounds here in Illinois. And we're really focused on expanding access to quality post-secondary options for students, and then also supporting students in addressing persistent and widening racial and socioeconomic disparities in college degree completion. So those are really the issues that PCC is focused on addressing. We do have kind of a unique approach in our state to how we're working on that. We have a policy arm of the organization, and then we also have a technical support arm that works directly with colleges and universities themselves. And then all of this is driven by our data and research team, which is where most of my work lies. And yeah, we're really working at the state level to try to offer a coordinated approach to some of these policy and practice issues.
So you work with the institutions, but how much do you work directly with students?
Great question. Part of our organizational work is our Student Advisory Council, which is a cohort of current Illinois college students. They come to us from different sectors, from different parts of the state, different places in their academic journeys and careers. And those students are with us for a full academic year. And the goals of that program are really twofold. One is to provide PCC with insights into what problems students are facing. So we really do want students to be weighing in on our policy and legislative agenda, on what changes they need to see at the campus level. And then we're also working with students to help them build their own frameworks for advocacy so that they can go back to their campuses and really, most of them are already very involved on campus, but we're trying to offer them a framework so that they can go back to campus and really continue to engage in a lot of this advocacy work in real time.
All right, here's the main question. Students are individuals. Everybody has their own story. I get all of that, and that is true. But Caitlin, what are some of the obstacles that prevent a college student from completing their education?
Yeah, also a great question. I would say there are a few different places I'm going to draw from to answer this question. The first is directly from qualitative student responses themselves. So there are a few reports that PCC is working on. We recently released one that was student-driven and student-led, where they spoke about challenges they faced. And then we're currently working on a second interview-focused project that's specifically focused on transfer. But interestingly, across all of that qualitative work, the number one thing that we have heard from students is that affordability is the biggest factor when determining whether students attend college, where they choose to go, and whether they're able to stay enrolled and actually complete their college degree or whatever their educational goals might be. So there are a ton of different things that come into play here for students, both access to post-secondary options that are affordable in the first place, so where tuition and fees are not so high that students can't even imagine attending college there. We also need good access to need-based financial aid, which is one of the ways that states and institutions can most equitably give students who need it the funding that they need to attend their institution. And then we also need clear information and strong options so that students, when they do attend college, are able to stay enrolled for the duration of their journey, so they have access to housing, food, resources that they need. When they graduate college, it's also really important that students are able to get a job quickly, and also that they are not saddled with unmanageable debt once they're out of college. So all of those things together are really important. And we heard from students about other things that support their time on campus, like access to advisors and mentors that share identities and experiences. Information access, we were talking a little bit about earlier, is really important. And then also other students play a really important role, especially for students of color on campus who have generally to us reported that they're less comfortable seeking support from adults on campus. We've seen peer networks really come into play as being very critical for students establishing a community and accessing resources on campus. So yeah, I would say those are the big factors that we're hearing directly from students.
Well, I knew nothing. I knew very little about college until my children went, and I was an adult. I don't know, so I was in my 50s, I think, when I went. So I really got it. But they are, in my experience, and probably people have a similar experience as me, that of course students have a college dream, and there is a college reality. I told my children, you're not going to your dream school. Get that out of your head. You're going to a school that your parents can afford. We're paying for it. You're not going to have any debt. Just go to school in 4 years because we're not paying for 5, 6, 7, and 8. And so everybody's way of doing things is a little bit different. But do you think students, sometimes they suffer for many reasons. Sometimes they go to a school they can't afford. When you're young or first generation, you have no idea what you're doing. I understand that. And of course, you get there and you can be overwhelmed and you can be afraid to ask for help. I remember a college president, and the president told me, basically, we tell the freshmen, go to class every day, try to do the work. I said, try to do the work. And if you have trouble, don't hesitate to ask for help. Don't wait. Right away. We're here to support you. We don't want you to drop out of school. And I think, do you think some students just wait a little bit too long, or they're too embarrassed to ask for support and help?
Yeah, I think that absolutely does happen. There's a lot of both, I think, shame or discomfort asking for help, because to be honest, a lot of times students do have experiences where they're shamed or made to feel uncomfortable when they're seeking help on campuses. We heard from students that just one negative experience trying to access campus resources can really deter them from seeking support on campus again, because now they're scared to reach out for help because it didn't go very well the first time. So I think the kinds of things that you're suggesting, like really proactively reaching out to the students that are in your network and saying, look, here are the people that you can go to for help. Here are all of the different resources that are available to you. Here's how you access them if you need to. And then advisors in those departments being really aware of, like, what are the contexts that students are coming to them in? What are students encountering and experiencing in their day-to-day lives that is having a real impact on their academic journey and how they're showing up in the space? So I think that's hugely important. And something else that your experience with college going for your own kids is making me think about is also how are institutions involving the other support system that students might have, whether that is their family. So how are institutions communicating with parents and saying, look, if your student is struggling, here are the resources that are available to them on campus to support them. And here are the resources that are available to parents to support you as you're supporting your child. I think institutions can also think creatively about other networks that students might be involved in, whether that's work, students may have support people at church or other community spaces that they're engaged in. So I think institutions thinking really broadly about, okay, who are all of the people that are involved in supporting students in college, and how are we getting all of those people involved in this journey and talking to all of them about this information.
I'll get one more question, and then I'm going to have you end the show, a little inspiration or information or whatever you want to say. Some students struggle academically because they're just not ready for the academics of college. We know this, or let's say they go away from out of town. They ain't ready to leave home, or they just have life gets in the way because they are at home and just so many distractions at home. What can a student do who are experiencing this, are going to experience this? Who do they talk to first, saying, "Help me"? Okay, I'm afraid, I'm ashamed, but don't beat me up. But please help me get through this.
That is a really great question, and I would say the exact person that student is going to talk to is probably unique to the student. It's probably going to be someone that they trust, that they maybe have an established relationship with. I would say that for students who are feeling like they have chosen an institution that's not a great fit, maybe they're in a major that doesn't feel right to them, maybe they're just totally unclear about what is next for them, I would say my biggest advice would be to first and foremost talk with a financial aid counselor or financial aid advisor, given the fact that affordability is really paramount for many students and is usually playing a really big factor in students' stress about staying in an institution. Often students are trying to make ends meet with multiple jobs that can be impacting how they're able to show up academically. And then also, just like staying in school is a major financial decision. So making sure that as students are figuring it out, they're not taking on a ton of additional student debt and are able to finish their degree in an affordable way is really important. So I would say first things first is chat with a financial aid advisor, be really honest about where you are at and what you're considering. And then I would say get those people that you do trust to be your advocates involved in those conversations in some way. So if you do have an advocate on your campus who's familiar with how transfer works, or what your institutional policies are related to taking time off or going down to part-time or something like that, that's great. If you don't have that advocate on campus, find who your trusted advocate in your network is and bring that person into those conversations with you to the extent that you're comfortable. That would be my biggest advice.
Caitlin Power, thank you for being my guest. And just end the show with a little information or inspiration. Go right ahead.
Alrighty. I think one thing I'll end with one thing I'm really excited for in Illinois, higher ed space. Right now, the state is trying to totally rehaul how we're funding our public institutions in our state, which is really exciting because we're hoping that it will make institutions significantly more affordable to students, and also will offer institutions stable funding that they need to really be able to provide some of these campus level supports for students. So really excited about that stuff. I think it'll have important and very tangible impacts on prices for students, how students are able to engage with post-secondary education in Illinois. So that'll be my little inspiring thing for closing us out.